I've done a lot of hiking over the years, and most of the time the advice you get from strangers on trails is pretty harmless. Watch your footing, bring more water, bear sightings up ahead. Normal stuff. But about 2 years ago, a guy stopped me and my friend on a trail and told us something that didn't feel like casual advice. He looked straight at us and said,
"Don't leave the trail."
At the time, I assumed he was just being cautious. We even laughed about it after he walked away. And about 20 minutes later, we stepped off the trail anyway. If we hadn't, there's a good chance I never would have thought about that moment again. This is Don't Leave the Trail. My name's Greg, and this happened about 2 years ago when my friend Marcus and I decided to do a day hike at a state park. It wasn't remote wilderness or anything like that, just a well-maintained trail system with wooden markers every half mile and enough people around that you never felt completely isolated. It was the kind of place you went when you wanted to feel outdoorsy without actually risking anything. We were heading to a waterfall about 4 miles in. Nothing huge, just one of those local spots people take pictures at. We got there around 9 in the morning. The parking lot wasn't crowded, maybe 4 or 5 cars. We grabbed water bottles, checked the trail map, and started hiking. About 20 minutes in, we passed a guy coming the opposite direction. At first, I didn't think anything of it. Mid-30s maybe, athletic build, normal hiking clothes. But as he got closer, I noticed he was moving faster than anyone else we'd seen so far, like he was late for something. Marcus did the usual friendly nod.
Morning.
The guy nodded back. Marcus asked,
Hey, is the waterfall worth it today?
"Yeah,
he said.
a couple miles or so."
His voice sounded tight, short, like he didn't want conversation. Marcus smiled.
Busy up there.
That's when the guy actually looked at us. And I remember this clearly, because something about his expression stuck with me. He looked unsettled, not panicked, but keyed up, like adrenaline hadn't worn off yet. Then he said,
"Just don't leave the trail."
Marcus chuckled a little.
We weren't planning on it.
The guy shook his head slightly.
"There's some steep areas back there. Loose ground. People get hurt."
The way he said it felt more like concern than warning, like he was trying to be helpful. "Good to know," I said. He nodded once, then kept walking toward the parking lot. Marcus waited until he was out of earshot before saying,
Trail cop on patrol. Obviously.
I shrugged. Probably saw someone eat it on a hill or something. About 20 minutes later, we came across a narrow side path cutting into the woods. It wasn't marked, but you could tell it was used. Marcus pointed.
Bet that goes to the top of the falls.
I hesitated. Not because I thought it was dangerous, just because the guy's comment popped back into my head. Marcus noticed.
Dude, come on, we'll just look.
He wasn't wrong. It looked harmless enough. So we stepped off the main path. The trees got thicker almost immediately, and within maybe 30 feet, the sounds from the main trail faded away. It wasn't creepy, just secluded. We walked maybe 100 yards before Marcus stopped.
Hey, look at that.
There was a backpack sitting against a tree, zippers closed, upright, like someone had set it down carefully. No one around. I remember thinking it was odd, but not alarming. People wander off to take pictures or go to the bathroom all the time. But then I saw a boot, about 10 feet away. That's when my stomach tightened a little. Marcus said quietly,
Okay, that's weird.
I nodded. We stepped carefully looking around, and then I realized the path stopped. The earth sloped sharply downward beyond the trees, disappearing into a steep drop. A cliff. Not massive, but steep enough that a fall would be bad.
That's probably what that dude was talking about.
That explanation made sense. We didn't see any movement below. No sound, no voices. After maybe a minute, Marcus said,
You want to keep going to the falls?
"Yeah," I said. We headed back to the main trail and continued on like nothing had happened. And honestly, at that point, it didn't feel like anything had happened. Just a weird moment. The waterfall was nice. We took a few pictures, hung out for maybe 20 minutes, then headed back. A couple days later, Marcus texted me a news link. A body had been found near the trail we had hiked at. Male, mid-30s. Discovered at the bottom of a steep ravine after another hiker reported abandoned gear off one of the side paths. Authorities believed the man had fallen. Investigation ongoing. The location mentioned in the article was less than 100 yards from where we'd found that backpack and boot. I remember just staring at my phone for a minute. We had been right there. Close enough that if we'd walked a little farther toward the edge, we might have seen him. At the time, I assumed the guy we'd passed earlier had probably found the backpack first. It made sense. He looked shaken when we saw him, like his adrenaline was still up, and he'd gone straight back toward the parking lot, which is exactly what you'd do if you needed cell service or wanted to find a ranger station. Marcus even said the same thing later that night.
Honestly,
He texted,
that was probably the dude who called it in.
and I agreed. He'd seen something bad. Warned us so we wouldn't get hurt too. Then went to get help. That explanation made perfect sense. It actually made me feel better about the whole thing. But a few weeks later, Marcus and I were grabbing beers when he brought it up again.
You ever think about that guy?
He asked. "The hiker?" I said.
Yeah.
"What about him?" Marcus took a drink, then set his glass down slowly.
I keep thinking about what he said.
"Don't leave the trail?" I said.
Yeah.
I shrugged. He was right, though. Someone literally died back there. Marcus nodded, but he didn't look convinced.
That's not what I mean.
He said.
It's how he said it.
I knew exactly what he meant. The urgency, the way he looked at us. Like he wasn't just giving advice, like he needed us to listen. Marcus leaned back in his chair.
You think he was the one who called it in?
I thought about that. It made sense. He'd been heading straight toward the parking lot. He looked shaken. If he'd found the backpack and realized someone fell, going for help would have been the obvious thing to do. "Probably," I said. Marcus nodded slowly,
Yeah, probably.
but then he added,
Or he knew already.
I looked at him. "What do you mean?" Marcus hesitated.
I don't know.
He said.
I just keep thinking. If you came across something like that, someone hurt or dead, you'd say that, right?
"Say what?"
Like, hey, there's someone hurt back there. Or, be careful, someone fell.
He paused.
But, he didn't say that.
I felt a small chill run up my arms, because he was right. The guy never mentioned a person, never mentioned an accident. He just said,
Don't leave the trail.
Marcus stared into his drink.
Almost like he didn't want us anywhere near it.
Neither of us spoke for a while. Eventually, we changed the subject, and life moved on, the way it always does. But every now and then, I still think about that morning, about how calm everything felt, how normal it was, and how close we were to something terrible without realizing it. Maybe he was just a good guy who stumbled onto a horrible scene and wanted to keep two strangers from getting hurt. Maybe he panicked. Maybe he didn't know what to say. But sometimes, when I remember the look on his face, the tension in his voice, how fast he was walking away from that part of the trail, I wonder if we passed him just minutes after whatever happened, and whether he was trying to protect us from danger or making sure we never saw what he'd done.